a follow-up to my last video, imploring Democrats, and especially African Americans who tend to vote Democrat, to not vote for any of the leaders that you see in the presidential sweepstakes on the national stage. How about the follow-up? Please consider, though they're not running for president, wherever they opine, and if they should run for congressional seats or your governor's seat, African Americans who are not leftist, African Americans who are often branded as conservative, but they're the most helpful ones. If their policies are enacted, it helps blacks more than any of the leaders that you have seen or even heard about since Booker T. Washington. You have in Candace Owens, Deneen Borrelli, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, three women who they exude better democracy, better situation for younger Americans, for those who don't have as much earning power as those in esteemed elite places. They are for more freedom, more control that parents can take in schools. Look to some older black Americans, Tom Sowell, Walter Williams, brilliant scholars who could be better governors than any one of the 50 that I know now, because their policies are libertarian and conservative combined. And I actually contend that that's at the heart of black interests. Freedom, that's libertarianism. Conservatism, not having big state govern what you do, where you go. That's what blacks have been trying to escape from, and largely have, except they're led by largely white liberal leaders, liberal in the bad sense. They're truly progressive to leftist. And leaders who I think take blacks for granted. In some places, they infantilize blacks about their thinking of how you must think and what you must do. The 5 that I cited are worth reading, okay? Take a look at their pieces online. Here are some of their clips. You're going to find, I think, a lot of good. Why don't you hear that about these African American conservatives from your more prominent black readers? Because they're a threat. They're a threat to those black leaders who rely on emotion and status instead of reason and goodness for the people. They like their status. Jesse Jackson's a perfect example of this. Jesse's a shakedown artist, okay? He uses racism to make companies comply with policies that are sometimes actually very bad for blacks and very frequently bad for women. But he makes a lot of money and he gets a lot of attention. There are younger charlatans like that. They tend to be African American, and it's really unfortunate because it keeps African Americans from excelling on their own. And without shackles of government, without big corporations and big leaders that are shepherding, freeing yourselves, you do great, okay? In the industries that allow for the most freedom, blacks shine, okay? There's hardly any regulations on clothing. And who are some of the best, most featured designers? Blacks. There's not many regulations in the computer industry, and many of the best developers are African Americans who are outside of mainstream banking and insurance and the computing. They do great. Athletes we know for a long time. And what is the best measure of success? It's purely performance. And you don't see that anywhere other or anywhere more so than on the athletic field. And blacks dominate. Let the government take a minor role. It allows individuals to take a major role. That's what I, and maybe more importantly, these Hirsi Ali, Deneen Borrelli, Candace Owens, what they would do for African Americans if they were listened to. Thanks for listening here. I'm Mark Stewart.